Hi, I'm Sarah, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood that seems perfect on the surface. But for me, it was anything but a dream. When I was 15, my life took a dramatic turn. My dad remarried Janet, bringing with her two kids, Alex, 17, and Brenda, 14. They appeared like typical teens from the outside, but their attitude towards me was anything but normal. It started subtly, quiet whispers and occasional snickers. I initially thought I was just being paranoid, but it soon became evident that this was no mere imagination. One morning, as I approached the breakfast table, Brenda barely glanced up from her phone and sneered. "Did you really think you were invited to sit with us?" Alex chimed in with a smirk.
Yeah.
"Sarah, some spaces are just better without you." I tried to ignore them, focusing on my cereal and avoiding their stares. School was no better. Brenda made sure of that, as she was in the same grade. She took pleasure in turning my daily life into a continuous embarrassment. One particular incident stands out vividly. After weeks of hard work on a major science project, something I was genuinely proud of, I found it destroyed in the backyard the day before it was due. Looking up, I saw Brenda at the window, waving with a malicious grin. Furious, I confronted her later. "Why would you do that?" I demanded. She shrugged nonchalantly. "Maybe you'll learn not to leave your stuff lying around," she said, her voice dripping with insincere sympathy. Home offered no escape. Every time I tried to talk to my dad, he dismissed my concerns. "Janet's kids wouldn't do that. You must have misunderstood," he'd say, mirroring Janet's constant defense of her children. Alex was even more deceitful, spinning lies about me to my dad. One evening, I overheard him telling my father, "She said she hates living here and wishes you hadn't married Janet." His voice was laced with feigned concern. Enraged, I burst in. "That's not true. Why are you lying?" My dad's face was a mix of confusion and disappointment, but it wasn't directed at Alex. "Sarah, go to your room. We'll talk later." But we never did. It was always my word against theirs, and I always lost. Feeling isolated became my norm. School was a nightmare. Home was even worse. As my 18th birthday approached, I made a choice. I couldn't thrive in this environment. I was barely surviving. The night before my birthday, I packed a small bag. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered to myself, torn between fear and relief. Leaving was my only option, my chance to escape the lies, cruelty, and constant undermining. The morning of my 18th birthday marked the beginning of my new life. I left before dawn, the house silent. My bag was light, but my heart was heavy with hope. I boarded a bus to a city 4 hours away, ready to start college and a new chapter. College was overwhelming at first. The campus was vast, the crowds intimidating, and I clung to my schedule as if it were a lifeline. The loneliness was palpable. Every laugh and every group of friends I saw reminded me of what I had left behind, not just a family, but the hope of belonging somewhere. Yet, I was determined not to let my past dictate my future. I threw myself into my studies, spending countless hours in the library. Slowly, things began to change. I took on a part-time job at the campus cafe, a lively place that left me no time to dwell on my troubles. There, I met Mia, a fellow student with a bright smile and a knack for making everyone feel included. "Hey, you're the girl who's always buried in her textbooks, right? Saving the world one page at a time," Mia joked one afternoon, handing me a coffee during my break. I laughed, touched by the warmth of her simple gesture. "Trying to, at least," I replied. From that moment, Mia made an effort to include me, inviting me to study groups and introducing me to others. Gradually, without even realizing it, I was no longer the outsider but a part of something meaningful. College was more than just a place to make friends. It was where I immersed myself in my major, business management, with a fervor driven by my desire to reclaim control over my life. My professors took notice of my dedication, particularly Dr. Reynolds, who saw potential in me that I had never recognized in myself. "You have a keen strategic mind, Sarah. Have you ever thought about joining the business competition team?" Dr. Reynolds asked one day after class. I hesitated, the familiar doubts creeping in, but he was insistent. Joining the team turned out to be a pivotal moment. We spent months on a case study aimed at revitalizing a failing business. I poured my heart into the project, often burning the midnight oil to refine our strategies. The competition, held in a grand auditorium with teams from across the nation, was fierce. When our team was called to present, I felt the weight of the moment press upon me, but as I began speaking, something extraordinary happened. The room, the judges, and the other teams seemed to dissolve into the background. It was just me, exuding confidence and clarity. As I laid out our three-phase restructuring strategy, I watched as the judges nodded and scribbled notes. When they announced us as the winners, my teammates erupted in cheers, lifting me off the ground. In that instant, amid the applause, I rediscovered something I had thought was lost forever: my self-worth. The rest of college sped by in a blur of lectures, late-night study sessions, and small victories that gradually stitched together my new life. By graduation, I wasn't just a student with strong grades. I had become a leader, a friend, and a competitor. I graduated with honors, a moment of profound pride. As I stood there in my cap and gown, Dr. Reynolds pulled me aside. "I have something for you," he said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a job offer from one of the top firms in the city. Holding that crisp paper, I knew it symbolized more than just a job offer. It was a testament to everything I had worked hard to achieve. From the wreckage of my old life, I had risen, rebuilt, and was now ready to tackle new challenges. Entering the corporate world felt like stepping into another intense competition, but this time, the stakes were higher, the rivals tougher, and the victories even sweeter. Climbing the corporate ladder through sheer determination and sharp acumen, I proved myself to be more than what my past had defined me to be. Each promotion was a validation of my hard work, a testament to my growth. But life had its own surprises. Our company announced a merger with a struggling competitor, a move intended to broaden our horizons but fraught with integration challenges. To my astonishment, this merger brought with it the arrival of Alex and Brenda. I'll never forget the day they walked into the office as part of a tour group. Alex sported his usual arrogant grin, while Brenda tried to exude confidence despite the nervousness she couldn't quite conceal. They didn't recognize me initially. I was just another face among their new colleagues. However, that anonymity was short-lived. A week later, once the merger dust had settled, I was promoted to lead a new team, one that included them. The announcement was made formally, a brief introduction from our director. "Sarah will be heading the project team for the integration process. I expect full cooperation from everyone," he said with a tone that brooked no dissent. When our eyes met, Alex's face went through a swift transformation: shock, then recognition, and finally, open resentment. Brenda's reaction was more restrained, her face tightened, but her displeasure was unmistakable. Our first team meeting was charged with tension. As I outlined the project goals and timelines, I could feel their scrutiny, searching for a crack in my facade. After the meeting, Alex broke the silence with, "So, we're reporting to you now?" His tone dripped with sarcasm. "Yes, Alex. I expect updates on your sections by the end of the week," I replied, maintaining a polite yet firm demeanor. Brenda merely nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. Over the following weeks, they tested my resolve, missing deadlines, questioning my decisions through emails, but each challenge was met with calm, professional responses. I enforced company policies, stood firm on expectations, and provided constructive feedback. Gradually, their overt resistance faded, replaced by a grudging acceptance. The realization dawned on them that the Sarah they had tormented years ago was no longer the same. Witnessing their struggle to adapt to the new dynamics was a bittersweet irony. While I didn't take pleasure in their discomfort, I couldn't deny the satisfaction of seeing justice unfold. They were no longer in control, and their past actions held no sway in this new environment. Balancing this reversal of roles required careful navigation. I had to manage not only the project but also the delicate undercurrents of our shared history, ensuring that it didn't cloud my judgment or impact the team's performance. As time passed, I grew more adept at this balancing act, my confidence buoyed by the support of my team and the visible success of our work. In this new chapter, the tables had turned. I was no longer a victim but a leader, no longer merely surviving but thriving. Thriving in a world that had once seemed determined to keep me down. A year into managing the integration project, I had settled into my role with newfound ease. The office buzzed with the energy of productivity I had helped cultivate. Yet, amid this success, a troubling discovery emerged on the horizon, one that would challenge my professionalism in ways I had never anticipated. During a routine audit of the project's finances, discrepancies began to surface. The numbers didn't add up, and some allocations seemed suspiciously vague. As I delved deeper, the trail of irregularities led to a troubling discovery: Alex had been diverting funds. This wasn't a mere mistake, it was embezzlement. Dealing with this revelation demanded all of my resolve. I reported the findings to the compliance department, presenting the evidence impartially, without letting our personal history influence the situation. The ensuing investigation was swift and thorough. Alex was summoned, the evidence was presented, and he was made aware of the severity of his actions. He faced legal consequences and was terminated from his position. Watching Alex being escorted out of the building was a moment of mixed emotions. There was no satisfaction in his downfall, only a somber acknowledgement of justice being served. This was not about revenge, it was about accountability. Meanwhile, Brenda was struggling with her own set of challenges. It became increasingly clear that she couldn't meet her responsibilities. Her work was consistently late and below standard, indicating a lack of commitment and capability. After several warnings and attempts at remediation, she was demoted to a role more suited to her skills. It was a necessary decision for the team's success, though it carried a personal weight I couldn't ignore. Throughout these challenges, I maintained a professional distance, concentrating on my own growth and the well-being of my team. My dedication did not go unnoticed. As the project approached completion, our director summoned me to his office. "Sarah, your handling of the recent issues has been exemplary," he said, his tone both serious and approving. "We need that level of integrity and leadership as we move forward. We're expanding our operations, and I want you to lead the new department." This promotion was not just a career milestone but a validation of my journey from a troubled teenager to a respected leader. I accepted the new role with a grateful, albeit heavy, heart. Later, standing by the panoramic window of my new office, I gazed out over the city. The twilight sky painted a serene backdrop to the bustling streets below. It was a moment of reflection, a realization that the trials I had faced were not mere obstacles but stepping stones. I had overcome significant challenges, built bridges where there had once been barriers, and found strength in the remnants of my past hardships. My achievements, though notable, were overshadowed by the personal victories I treasured: self-respect, resilience, and the ability to thrive despite adversity. As I turned away from the window, prepared to face the challenges ahead, I knew that while my past would always be part of who I was, it no longer defined me. I was not just a survivor, I was a leader, with a future promising continued success and fulfillment. So, how would you approach working with someone who had once made your life difficult? Would you seek retribution, or would you focus on your personal and professional growth, as Sarah did?